What's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be talking about the Bitcoin price chart, along with the XRP price chart, as we kick off the new week, and we have some upward price action over here in the Russell 2000 in the United States stock market, as the Russell is leading the day right out to start the new week, up over 2% in a world full of green over here in the US stock market. Bitcoin's also above $88,000 as I'm recording right now, so things are looking to be on the up and up over here. Now, of course, it's been interesting watching this Russell 2000, not because we all know by this point that Bitcoin tends to follow along with whatever the Russell 2000 is doing. But looking at it on the weekly time frame, it did hold that 200-week moving average as it went down there and swiped it 2 weeks ago, holding on top of the support levels as the examples we've been referencing over here. Now looking for really to give us really that last big wave to come in the market, the really exciting one, which is where we should see the Bitcoin dominance get rejected from this 702 level and finally see the action spread throughout the rest of the market. So if you missed last week's videos where we talked a lot about this, rotational equity top, final wave of the market, has confluence with other things we're talking about with XRP. Like, these things are all talking about really just kind of the exciting ending wave of the market, euphoria. Well, go check out the videos from last week. Otherwise, as we kick off the new week, we're just seeing more strength show up in here at these levels. Or not a whole lot different to say. It's not like prices have changed drastically, whether it's Bitcoin, XRP, right? Price is still just sitting at 246, 247. But, you know, you look at Bitcoin, you look at the strength that's come in there, right? Look at the daily time frame. You could see that it was really stronger and stronger selling. And then finally that new low gets set in right there. But it comes in with a higher relative strength index. The stochastic RSI is higher. You've got a complete curl back up over here in the MACD. So the strength is coming in here, right? Unlike the continued momentum and weakness of it just continuing to fall. Finally, there's some strength coming back into this and rounding itself out. So it's likely, you know, a lot of grinding to get your way back up. It becomes the wall of worry. Retail investors never let down their guard until you get right here. That's where they'll all pour back in with excitement when it gets closer to $100,000. Till then, it's still kind of the same sentiment stuff happening in there. But we tend to climb walls of worry. These things can take many structures down in here. Just because you're here doesn't mean you're not going to come back one more time and then eventually go. It's a range. They can be totally chaotic. I've said that many times in the past. Ranges by design are chaotic. When you're trying to trade the middle of a range, you're just going to get chopped up and sliced up. The best thing we can see in here is that we definitely have started to build the strength back up in here and swapping down to smaller time frames. You could see in here, right? Even in here, right? Finally, we haven't seen this type of renewed strength on the 12-hour time frame. Dating back to January. So here we are in late March. It's been almost 2 months since we've seen that kind of pushing price action happen in here. So definitely going the right way. These things can just take a little bit of time. As for XRP, the story is the same. It's hard to say when this thing will jolt its way out of here and whether or not we're really already pretty progressed in here and it could happen at any moment. I think that for my perspective, this thing is as developed as it needs to be. It could just happen at any moment. And, you know, I think one of those kind of important characteristics is if this Russell 2000 has the momentum behind it, because what happened back in November is that this all took off in here. And once it proved that's what was happening, it got the momentum to get kickstarted over here on the XRP price chart as well. So if this thing has the juice behind it to keep shifting its way up, you know, it could happen at any moment. I think these are fully developed in here and it's just a matter of time. Till then, the only thing we can look at is just on the bigger time frame stuff to say, hey, is the selling strength getting diminished? In which it is. We look like we're turning the corner over here on Bitcoin. We look like we're turning the corner over there on the Russell 2000. We've totally developed this range as much as you can. There can be all variances of this stuff to be sloppy. I've shown how sloppy Litecoins was during that time back in 2017, where it was doing the same thing. It tried to get into a new all-time high. It pulled all the way back. Massive fall happened in here. That was 65%, which is far more than what XRP did. The slop ensued, and then we just really kind of began to climb the wall of worry. And I think there's a reasonable chance to think that we are in that wall of worry right now. So the first steps I'm looking for this week is to see that we actually do not just get stuck in here and continue a whole week of waiting and wondering, but that if we can get our way up in here, then we start really speculating about it actually getting into the breakouts happening in here. And if that gets its way back up in here this week, we could really start sitting here saying it could happen at any moment. The hardest thing about ranges is that they can be completely sloppy. They can bounce back and forth between them all they want. You can get up into those retracement levels and those upper bounds, and then they just are refusing to get through there. Like we've shown over here with the example with Cardano and the range that it's been in, right? So we see these things shift back up into the ranges. We could say, hey, are we going to get out? But until then, it's just a lot of ranging behavior until we actually do. And then once we get out, then it's like, okay, now it's on like Donkey Kong. We're in the final wave. But the first steps, of course, are to see Bitcoin turn the corner, which we've seen over here with the strength, and to see the Russell 2000 turn the corner, which we saw the Russell get into extreme oversold conditions comparable to C19. We had not seen that level of daily oversold conditions on the Russell in nearly 5 years. So I know when I come on here, what's the people always want to hear? The trending direction that we're heading in, right? And the thing people always want to hear, of course, is that trending direction is up. The way I can frame it is say, you know, look, we look like we're in a corrective structure that's already completed. We're showing those strength indicators that it's looking like it's completed. Same thing goes for XRP. Now we've entered into the next phase of ranging and trying to test those bounds, but we have to break through them. There's a team up, there's a team down. There's absolutely nobody who is on team sideways ever. So coming on here and saying, you know, there's a chance we could still be in sideways. Absolutely no one wants to hear that. Everybody wants to hear up now. I do believe we've completed the correction, but what happens? You go down, you go sideways, then you go up. We're in that sideways. Next, we try to go up and we find out if we're going to keep going sideways or if we're going to go up for good. But it seems like the down part is done, right? And now we'll get to see if anything comes from this week, right? There's not a whole lot to say that has really changed in the market. Yeah, Bitcoin's at $88,000. That's great. We haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. But the positive thing that we can clearly see on here is you can see a U-turn has happened over here in the Russell 2000. A U-turn appears to be forming over here on Bitcoin. That's a good sign. XRP is still just doing its ranging stuff in here. And what we want to see is a bigger convincing move come from broader markets. The selling has waned, right? This was the thing that we've kind of dealt with for the whole last month. The last week, we saw things start to kind of recover a little bit in here. Now we're starting off the week with a little bit better price action and a little bit more strength in the market. Now we just need to see follow through come through this week to see if we're going to have momentum to follow through. So that's the main messaging as we start the week. Strength looks to be returning. Still looking for follow through to happen in price action. And I think one of the challenges we'll be looking for to see if we're going to get these big breakouts to come in here in the market for things like XRP or for Bitcoin, or if we're going to kind of do this stuff where we just kind of get stalled out in here for a little while, is to see what happens to the Russell 2000 in these levels right in here around 2185 or so, to see if we're actually just going to end up having to do a bunch of this first, right? That you're kind of ricocheting off the lows first, and that this actually becomes somewhat of a range for a minute, and then the bigger break comes out of here later, and then that's where we see everything go. So I think that's kind of where we're at, right? Like, it's pretty clear. Like, we bounced off the 200-week moving average. The strength is returning back in here. Look at the stochastic. Look at the MACD. These are good, but it's going to be whether or not there's enough momentum as we get back in here on if it's going to break and go for that big move or if it's going to range in here. And if it ranges in here, it probably means we're stuck in here for a minute too until it gets out. So right now, it's kind of like in the phase where we're heading back to retracement levels. I do think we're eventually going to break through the retracement levels because this is just standard corrective stuff. The question just is, when we get back to these retracement levels, are we going to be ready to rip and roar at that moment? And I think a lot of that's going to be determined by how this reaction happens in here. And if this has to pause and be real rangy in here for a couple of weeks, it's probably going to hold us up too. But bigger context, right? Again, nobody likes team sideways. Bigger context on it. It's a reversal off the 200-week moving average. It's ranging to try to go for the bigger break. And the bigger break means bigger break, bigger break, bigger break, bigger break, right? So there's your stuff for team up. But that's just the context of where we're at, right? Corrective structure appears completed. We're now in the sideways action. We're waiting for Russell to prove that it's ready to go for full breakout and take the stab to the all-time high, or if, this reversal is going to take a minute to kind of range here for a second. But in the grand scheme of things, if you look back on what February was like in the first half of March, kind of some rough months that we've had here in the market, those rough months seem to be behind us. Now it's about bottoming out and reversing. And we're seeing the strength indicators and the price action to go along with that. So good start to the week for the Russell 2000. The Dow's up 587 points. The Nasdaq's up 409 and the S&P's up almost 100. Bitcoin's at 88,400. Now the big story is about climbing the wall of worry back to the retracement level. And until then, we kind of wait to see what happens here at the end of this week when hopefully we get the official announcement from the SEC that they've dropped their appeal, and hopefully with the momentum followed by the Russell and Bitcoin, hey, hopefully that gives a pop over here too. So we'll keep it brief. Not a whole lot of revolutionary things to say to start off the week, except that it's a good start to the week. We've, of course, been talking about reversal structures for like weeks on end. So it's like I could just rehash all of that. I think it's just more important to see, hey, we're actually seeing some stuff show up here in broader markets. Now we're looking for more follow through to come through. So I'll I'll check in with you guys tomorrow if anything develops. Otherwise, I hope you were enjoying spring and getting all of your gardening taken care of. I know I have. But till the next one, I wish you the best. If you guys are looking for something to do, of course, you could check out my newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com, which comes with a 30-minute audio recording talking a lot about this equity rotation and how that impacts crypto. You can check out bcbacker.com for over 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. There are links in the descriptions of all of my videos to the newsletter at blockchainbacker.substack.com and to bcbacker.com. Otherwise, have a wonderful week, and I'll check in with you soon. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.